What's up, guys? Welcome into the Modern Christian Dudes podcast. My name is Jeremiah Johnson, alongside Big Ben Askew. What's up, Big Ben Askew? Back on the show.
I'm back.
We missed you. King Ranch.
Oh, yeah.
Askew.
That's right.
So glad to have you back. You're going to become a regular part of the show. This is your third episode or two or three or what?
I don't remember.
All right. We're going to get you in the game. We are going to relaunch here shortly, the MCD, Modern Christian Dudes.
All right.
Because we got Big Ben. And so we got to, get some new hype, some new commercial, maybe new songs, some stuff like that going on.
Some logo stuff, maybe.
Going to be a rock star conversation that we have today. We have Isaac Smith, rock star of a band called Chaotic Resemblance. What's up, Isaac Smith?
Hello.
We'll talk to you in just a second here.
I'll be here.
Good to have a rock star on the show today. And we're normally just common, everyday dudes. So you're going to elevate the coolness of the show, possibly. And anyway, good friend. Actually was on one of the other podcasts I've done, Grace Point Daily. Back in the day, that was a little bit more testimonial, but we're going to talk about the rock star life today because every modern Christian dude in my book is a rock star. Wouldn't you agree, Big Ben?
Yeah, they are.
So let's talk a few things before we get into our conversation with Isaac Smith here. Some items of note. Did you know that Greg Walden, Funko Pop Greg Walden, did not realize that you have an F-150?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was not aware of that.
Well, it just recently happened.
And he was not aware that it was a King Ranch F-150. Wow. So we have some problems here in the MCD Nation. We're going to have some arguing going on. The F-150 battle begins. Big Ben, Funko Pop Greg Walden.
It was that nice premium brown leather that got me.
Yeah, and my son was asking me that. What's a King Ranch? And I was like, well, Hezekiah, it's just real fancy. It's got luxury. All the bells and whistles and everything. So. Is that working out for you? I mean, give us a breakdown,
it's
a little
amazing.
Review.
Well, actually,
of the King Ranch.
Technically, it's not my truck, right?
Yes,
I've been telling people that it's not my truck. It's for my wife, Rebecca. Mm-hmm. See, the problem was she had a minivan, a Dodge Caravan, and she was using it as a truck. She would take the seats out, and then she would use it like it was a truck, and then. Yeah. But then when we moved down here, she would borrow her dad's truck or borrow my dad's truck, and then when we were buying the next vehicle, I was just like, well,
do it.
Yeah, I was like, we're gonna get a Super Crew for the kids because we have 3 kids.
Yeah,
and I was like, you need a truck, and so you
saw that King Ranch F-150,
yeah,
right
absolutely.
there. So theoretically, that's the goal, though, is if I can convince Pastor Rachel that the Tesla is her Tesla, right, then I could buy Tesla,
right,
or something like that. So.
Well, no. It's funny too. I've always been I'm a penny pincher. I'm a tightwad, and my dad is always. I
can tell that by you spending $1,000 on a one wheel, and buying a Thor axe. Hey, you're very much.
I am.
Person.
I've made some recent purchases that I feel like every youth pastor, it's a necessity. Yes. But my dad always teases me because I've always driven small compact cars that are good on gas. Always. That's always been my standard. And my dad is very much a truck man, 100%. He owns, Isaac, how many, does he have 3 now? 3? So he's got
trucks?
He's got a F-250.
All at one time?
7.3 turbo diesel. He has a Highboy, a 1980s Highboy, and then
just brought on a Jeep as well.
Oh yeah. He's just got a Jeep Wrangler, but he's very much a truck guy, and I feel like it's always been a source of disappointment to him that I've always driven small compact cars, because we're from the Midwest and every man needs a truck, right?
Yep.
And when I drove up in that King Ranch that day. The gleam that was in my father's eye, he was finally like, I'm so proud of you, son.
But hang on that for a second. I think all the modern Christian dudes in the world probably have had points in their life where we don't have trucks or we try to use our vehicles as trucks.
Right.
The last time I used my wife's minivan, or it's my daughter's now, and it's a cheap minivan, so even if I destroyed it, not a totally huge deal, but I tried to put a 2x6x12 in it and had it just, it was in there all the way from the front window to the back, and I gave it that final nudge and then shattered the front window of the minivan. So things we try to do. That's a modern Christian dude thing there, right there. Well, Big Ben, King Ranch, Ben Askew. We talked a few things last week. A few items of note that we're dudes talking news, sports, and God. The big Netflix. So I subscribed to Netflix 2 days ago because I wanted to see the new He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelation series that just came out. Lots of controversy over that because it's not even they kill He-Man off in the first episode and it's about Taylor.
I didn't know they killed him.
Yeah, well, I'm on episode.
I'm not 100% interested in He-Man. I mean, I definitely like
Isaac. Were you a He-Man guy?
Okay, not really.
Okay,
from a creative standpoint, I love Skeletor. Okay. That's his name, right?
Yeah, Skeletor. That guy.
I've just always liked that character and the way he looks because I'm an artist. And but I've never really gotten into He-Man. That was before my cartoon.
Yeah, a little bit.
Time, you know.
So anyway, I'm watching it. I like the look or with the animation. I don't know the various styles or terminology you use for that, but whatever they're doing in that looks good. I don't necessarily mind the storyline, but again, they kind of pulled the wool over everyone's eyes. It's not so much about He-Man; it's about Taylor, and then she has this
she's not
butch cut.
That doesn't make
people are.
It doesn't make sense though because she's not He-Man.
Right. Yeah.
So they're gonna call it He-Man, but it's not He-Man.
Yeah, and I'll get to the end of it. So I wanted to give my hot take on there because I wasn't going to do it. Once I read all these articles, I'm like, I'm not going to get the Netflix subscription because this is why I'm getting it for a month to cancel and just to watch the 6 episodes of Masters of the Universe Revelation. But we'll find out what's going on there. So
is it He-Man or is it Masters of the Universe?
It's technically, I think originally it was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And so maybe that's where they're getting. This series is called Masters of the Universe Revelation.
So He-Man is not in the title.
It's not technically in the... But we all know it's He-Man and the Master of the Universe.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll be more accepting of that because I would have been disappointed if it was actually had He-Man in the word.
Yeah, so I digress.
Are we going to talk about Space Jam?
Yes, that's what we need to talk about. Space Jam 2. Let's hit on that real quick.
Controversy.
MCDs, Modern Christian Dudes, has been a few weeks now. Space Jam 2. And because here's what we talked about last week. I'm like, why can't people just enjoy movies for what they are? Listen, if you're a Jordan guy, you're a Jordan guy. Yep. If you're a LeBron guy, you're a LeBron guy. Okay, let's just leave it at that. I got respect for all the Jordan people out there. I'm not a Jordan guy.
Yep.
But I want reciprocal. I believe in that relationships are reciprocal, that you have to both give. So listen, I'm respecting you, Jordan fans. I want respect back as LeBron.
Okay. I need to announce this into the Modern Christian Dudes universe. I am very much a Jordan fan. This is a source, a subject.
You are from the state of?
I am from the state of Illinois. I am a 90s kid from Illinois. So therefore I am required to love Jordan.
Yes.
And it's been a source of contention between, is that the right word?
Yeah.
It's been a problem between us because you are very much a LeBron fan. And we know that there's, that struggle between who's better.
Right.
And to go to Space Jam 2, like 90s kid from Illinois, Michael Jordan fan, huge Space Jam fan, obviously. I went into Space Jam 2 with LeBron James. I wanted to hate the movie so much.
I saw it in your eyes.
I wanted to hate it so much, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I really did. I loved all the pop culture references and then I'm not going to give anything out there, but
I don't think it would be a spoiler to be like, LeBron wins in the end.
Right. Well, that's kind of the setup and standard of the first one. So that it had to happen, but
I do like the Jordan reference they threw in there.
We'll
leave it unended if you haven't seen it, but they do throw in a Jordan reference, which was very respectful. And you're like, what? He's going to be.
It was pretty hilarious.
And then I liked the father-son dynamic. I thought that was a little bit stronger than the original Space Jam 1 that they put in there as a father that has sons.
And I'll say I expected LeBron James to be a little bit better actor, but he wasn't the greatest.
Yeah.
And the only reason I think I thought he was going to be a great actor is because how much acting he does on the basketball court.
Yeah.
All of his flopping and flailing around. I thought his acting skills
he's done acted in other movies. Here's the two pieces. Okay. Jordan and LeBron, here is one piece of hardware they will never, ever have sitting on their shelf, either of them, an Oscar.
This is true.
Yeah, they're not. Neither one of them are not going to have an Oscar.
It's never going to happen.
Space Jam 2, I give it 2 thumbs up. Go check it out, especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
I mean, my boys walked away like, this is the best movie ever.
It was.
Your son Isaac was with us. Jaden, he thought it was the best movie in the world.
It was a good movie. Isaac, did you see it?
I have not seen the second one.
You haven't seen the second one?
No, I'm a little bit salty because I am as well from Illinois,
Right.
90s kid. I don't really follow sports that whole much, or a whole lot. So maybe I don't have enough knowledge to speak on the topic. But.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I enjoyed it. I didn't want to. I didn't want to so bad, but I walked away like.
I love when they get to the final. This is an underrated thing for me when they get to the final game. All the characters they have around the court. That was
all
hilarious.
the pop culture.
That was super fun.
So for being somebody who doesn't really follow sports, who really has no interest in that whole arena, one thing that I do notice that does kind of agitate me a little bit is that it always seems like LeBron's kind of like trying to outdo somebody else's legacy that's already been written. So from the outside looking in, completely unbiased, it's like, dude, write your own legacy. Like, why are you trying to outdo somebody? Like, why do you get? I don't know. It just seems really tacky. And I don't even follow sports, So
Anyway. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't.
Who is the GOAT? Who is the GOAT?
It's Jordan. but then again, I have a
Michael Jordan Funko Pop.
We have had a serious discussion about Jordan and James, and I have admitted that LeBron James definitely has the ability to will a championship on his own with a team that's not good. And if you go back and watch Jordan's documentary that just came out recently, a couple of years ago,
The Last Dance on Netflix.
Yeah, it's very good.
I am going to watch that.
It'll open your eyes and realize how much credit needs to be given to Scottie Pippen.
Yep.
And how much, just the guys that were around him that made that championship team. And, LeBron James definitely has the ability.
I just read an article literally the other day that they were wondering why Luke Longley didn't get in the Last Dance. Remember Luke Longley?
Yeah, they omitted a couple of them. And I think Jordan just came out with a statement about regretting not having him in there or something like that.
Yeah.
But
all right, and with that in mind, last NBA note, and then we'll hop over here to Isaac Smith, rock star, is that the Lakers, are they back in business? Oh, the big trade of the week in the NBA, Russell Westbrook and, as of yesterday, Carmelo Anthony signs with the Los Angeles Lakers. Dwight Howard sprinkled in some free agents.
Let's be honest.
LA's back.
It's a bunch of old farts that just need a championship, right?
Yes. And that's what they're saying. How beautiful would that be if Carmelo, Russ, who can't get championships, if good old GOAT James
but there
will gift them with that
there
this
needs
year.
To be teamwork there.
I'm not confident about it, actually. I think it's a hodgepodge kind of weird.
Yep.
I don't know if it's going to work out.
You have, the single superstar of a team. You have multiple of them now on the same team.
Yeah.
Multiple ball hogs, right?
All right. Well, modern Christian dudes talking news, sports, and God. So we love to talk all that pop culture reference stuff that's going on that dudes love to talk about. But now we are going to talk about rock music with one Isaac Smith. What's up, Isaac?
Hey, how's it going?
Ooh. Yes, the rock star, Isaac Smith. Hey, you are part of Chaotic Resemblance, a Christian band, or how would you give us your bio? Excuse me. Go ahead, take it away first.
Oh, my bio? Wow. Yes. So currently playing bass, big string rhythm for the hard rock band Chaotic Resemblance, based out of Poto, Oklahoma.
Big string rhythm? Is that what?
Part of the rhythm section, yes.
That's a description of the bass.
Yeah.
And let's get it out of the way here. You and Big Ben, a.k.a. King Ranch, Ben Askew. I'm trying to string those together. So
we go
fluidly
way back.
Are connected. Explain that to us.
Yes,
to the
we
audience,
are connected.
Modern Christian dudes. Because when I say it, it doesn't sound it sounds illegal, but I'll let you guys explain it a little bit better.
We're closer than most brother-in-laws.
We're both from a small town.
In Arkansas. No.
In Illinois.
Yep.
In Illinois.
Yep. And he had a sister and I had a sister, and we said, hey, man. No. No, his sister and I started dating when we were babies. Early teens, all the way through high school and college, ended up getting married, and then Ben and my younger sister kind of followed suit. So,
13.
So your sister is Ben's wife,
Yes.
Ben's sister
Is my wife.
Is your wife.
Correct. Correct.
We call that brother-in-law squared.
Yep.
Did you have to look into that in terms of
No.
Yeah. Well, we had to make
legality?
sure. Yes. Make sure.
That's the first response that everybody has. Like
well, it does sound unnatural.
Well, it's hard to.
It's because you hear brother and sister in marriage all in the same
Right.
all in the same sentence.
It's very hard to describe to people because of their first response. Their head immediately goes to, "Is this legal?" Like that's the first thing they ask themselves.
Right.
Like, and then once they get it, they're like, "Okay, okay."
What's their religion?
yeah, it's some new form of Mormonism.
So to clarify, you didn't marry your sister. You married Isaac's
Right.
sister. Isaac didn't marry your sister. You married Ben's
we
sister.
traded sisters.
Correct.
But would there be a problem then the problem would be if your siblings started,
Right.
if your kids started marrying each other? Yeah.
That'd be a big problem. Yes.
Okay.
Our kids, Isaac has a son and I have 3 kids. They are double first cousins. And they actually say like medically they are just like siblings. Like they're genetic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we could do a whole podcast episode on that, but
Yep.
Isaac Smith, you are in say that again, the string rhythm section of Chaotic Resemblance.
Big string rhythm. Yeah, that's what I said.
Which is a rock band, or what would you consider that?
Yeah, hard rock.
Hard
Yep,
rock
yep,
band.
Good old rock and roll. Yep.
Cool. Well, let's talk about I know this is not necessarily intended to be testimonial, but walk me through a little bit as you're growing up. Was that the dream to be a rock star? How did you get into music?
Yes, whether I realized it or not, I was definitely an adventurous kid. So I had a lot of dreams and ambitions. But I would say, really kind of realized that early teens, junior high, definitely through high school, it became more and more apparent, like, yes, music is what I want to do and need to be doing in life.
Because you're at that time, were you listening and playing, or playing and listening, both? What were you doing?
Yeah, I'd say probably all the above. Started out as, I guess technically I started out on the piano when I was really little, but my dad he always kind of kept music present in the home, whether it be just messing around on the piano, drums, guitar, or whatever. And then mom was always placed more emphasis on like the creative arts, so like drawing and painting and whatnot. So there was definitely kind of stimulation for using your imagination coming from both sides of my parents. But it really, other than the formal piano lessons, music was always presented as something really fun to do, something exciting to do and to explore. It was never really forced on us. My parents are definitely very good at trying to unfold their children rather than mold them, and give us opportunities to kind of discover ourselves. And but yes, music was always present in the house growing up.
Well, it's interesting. You would say I'm a good musician and singer and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
yes.
I was just looking for comment. But no, I didn't have, my parents weren't musicians. I wouldn't say music was a big part of my home. It's just kind of something self-discovery, if you will. So it's always interesting, that path or that journey to music or whatever. So as you begin to explore that, when did you dive into I want to be in a band? Because it's one thing, there's people that listen to, I'm really into music.
Yeah.
Like Big Ben over here. He just listens to music.
True.
Okay. He doesn't play music.
Plays the radio.
My one musical talent is playing the trumpet.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that for 12 years.
Right.
I think I recall my first legitimate attempt to start putting together a band, I think was around like 7th or 8th grade. Of course, I had no idea what I was doing. And I think we had 3 different singers, who would swap in and out, when they were available, or if one of them was grounded, then the other one would, I don't know. It was crazy stuff, but I would say probably around junior high is when I really, started figuring out okay, this is how this works. This is how this doesn't work. And I think that was kind of my first legitimate attempt of let's put together a band or something. Yeah.
Was it always rock for you? Hard rock. Dude, I'm the kind of guy, when I first got in music, it was sounds cheesy, but was like West Coast rap, like Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And then transitioned to like, I transitioned to like NSYNC, and I'm a big boy band fan, stuff like that. So that's a weird progression of.
That is a very strange progression.
I still love both though, you know.
I'm happy to say that, yes, it's always kind of been rock, you know. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the genre that I've always gravitated towards. I would say early on, when I really, really started getting into music, you know, I was definitely a genre snob. You know, if it wasn't rock or metal, then I didn't want anything to do with it. And looking back now, I realize that a lot of that was just kind of based off of my own insecurities. But have always kind of gravitated towards rock, you know, metal, hard rock, whatever. But as I've matured, a lot of that has kind of fallen to the wayside, you know, like really kind of came to a realization that, you know, a good song is a good song no matter what the genre is, you know. And so anytime I get asked, you know, like what kind of music do I like, you know, what's my favorite music? Well, my response has been, as of lately, is, you know, I like music that makes me feel something, you know. So if I can listen to a song and get an emotional response, you know, it's usually a good sign that that's a good song, you know, at least in my ears. So
yeah. So your first band, you even remember what your first band name was, or band back in the day?
See, okay. There was a few different trial runs, but I think the very first serious band was,
I know this one.
was called Nocturnal. I was the drummer, and we had a few different lineup changes throughout the years.
This was pre-Owl City. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. This would have been, you know, junior high school days, you know, probably up through sophomore or maybe junior year, whatnot. Yeah. So and
you're doing what at that time? Did you we're gonna play the junior high
dances? Yes,
dance.
I have the benefit of having witnessed a Nocturnal live.
Okay.
At our 8th grade dance.
Yeah.
Your first kiss to Isaac's sister, your wife, was at a Nocturnal concert.
We were dating at the time. Yes. We were.
We would play anywhere we could, you know, school dances or birthday parties, graduation parties, or the basement of a bowling alley. Like, we just wanted to have fun, you know. We just wanted to play shows, you know, and we do, you know, covers, and then, you know, try to write our own originals and play those as well, you know.
Yeah.
It was. I've got a funny story actually about Isaac. They were playing our 8th grade dance, and at the time I was dating my wife, and Isaac played the drums, and he was drumming, and then like at the end of him playing like a solo, he's like, yeah, and he threw his drumstick, and just one, into the crowd, and like everybody just like looked at it like and didn't know, and I was like, oh, take it, and like I grabbed it and picked it up. Well, I still have it.
So
I still have it.
So this you're striking up a lot of old memories. But so we would normally set up at the end of like the basketball court, you know, under the hoop, right? You know, free throw area and stuff. For whatever reason, you know, the kids, you know, the crowd would all line up on the 3-point line, you know, in a semicircle around us. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you envision yourself like, this is what I want to do someday as a fad? You know, because it's, I mean, most people or some of us that are musicians, it's something like, okay, I'm going to do this. This is not something I want to be a career or visualize as a career. No,
that's a very good and fair question, actually. It was never really a phase for me. And I kind of always, and actually, I was kind of always on the lookout for that, like, because, you know, I had the opinions of, you know, other family members and friends and you know, all the leadership in your life, you know, while you're growing up and stuff. And so, you know, I kind of always had an awareness and, you know, trying to kind of check in on myself, like, okay, is this just a fad? Is this just a phase? You know, but I very quickly discovered there's no off switch. You know, there's really no off switch, and I began to realize more and more throughout different life events that, you know, music is in my DNA. That's who I am. That's who I was created to be. Yeah. And I even tried to shut it off there for a while, and of course, you know, you have, you know, I remember people saying like, oh, that never happens, da 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 da. Like, there's just so many lies that come at you, and I'm not just talking about music specifically, but anytime you get, you set your vision, set your sights on your target, I mean, you're always going to have conflicting ideas coming at you and stuff. And so definitely had to be very self-aware and realize the different voices that were kind of coming at me.
As you're talking, I think, and we're talking to modern Christian dudes primarily here on this podcast, but isn't it funny how of all the life pursuits is music is one that we can look at negatively or speak down to. For example, being if I growing up as a high schooler, I said, I want to be an accountant someday.
Oh, that's applauded. Yeah.
I want to be a lawyer someday.
Yeah.
I want to, oh yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
I want to be, in a rock band someday. What?
Yeah. That's true.
Isn't it funny? Like that's, but I think that's also a beauty of one thing I love about today is people can, mock this generation or the time frame we're in right now. But one thing that's very cool about the day and age we live in today is you can be whatever you want to be.
Yes. 2021.
Yeah. And make money doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I'm such a YouTube guy and I'm like, I joke all the time about like, I'm alternative living fan on YouTube, not alternative, sexual lifestyles. I'm talking about alternative minimalism, living in a van, RV, et cetera, like that. And so like when I first started getting these YouTube channels, it'd be like this one kid, like I followed for a while, it's like, dude, he's got 50-some thousand followers. He lives in a van and drives around. Mm-hmm. Like 20 years ago, you'd be a loser.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you're making money. So I do like that our culture has shifted a little bit, and like there's a lot of things you can be now that maybe you couldn't be in the past or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, a musician's always been one of those though, for sure.
For me, yes, yeah.
Like look down, like I don't know, you need to get a real career. You need to,
absolutely. And I think because there's. I heard it said one time that really nobody in the music industry actually knows what they're doing, and when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I would agree with that 100%, because I mean, anything with the arts, there's really no cut and dry defined, method. I mean, there's best practices, and there's kind of fundamentals, and then, but also a lot of creative people they honestly, frankly, just suck at the business side of things. They can do really great, being creative and using their imagination, but when it comes time to just organizing the administrative stuff, they're just not.
That's why they're constantly taking advantage of.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why the music industry sucks so bad, because you have all these creative people, and then the business mind, the people that can make the money, take advantage of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Side note: did you see that Queen movie that just came out like the last year?
I did. Yeah.
That was kind of cool. I thought that's fun to see. Like.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate those movies. I think some of the criticism is usually they're not historically accurate, so definitely try to do my own research and homework, before I say, oh yeah, that was the history of Freddie Mercury, or,
right. Yeah. As you get into high school, it just sounds like you're saying like you were locked into that. You're like, the desire did not diminish; it increased.
Yeah, absolutely. Year by year. I mean, gosh, I was a great student up until about my freshman year of high school. I got straight A's all the way up to 8th grade, and then by high school, I just checked out. I was so bored.
That
just,
rock and roll just
I guess I know crazy devil the rock and roll. But yeah, I mean, I would and be sitting in class, writing song lyrics, mapping out the our next show. Hey, this is gonna be our set list. Coming up with different band names. Drawing logos, that was the only really thing that I could focus on. I remember specifically I would sit down, in class, like, okay, I'm going to do better. I told my parents, I'm going to try to pay attention, have myself all set up, the teacher would start talking 5 minutes in, I'd be like completely zoned out. And so I think definitely through those years, music was kind of really, it still is always kind of been my grounding, kind of the place I go to, where I can just, things don't necessarily have to make sense, but they do make sense all at the same time, it's kind of my abstract world that.
Right. So you're in high school. Was it same band or different bands? You're kind of
Yep.
around a little bit here and there.
Yep. Was primarily a drummer. I played drums in 2 different bands.
Hey, we've played live shows in Mexico together before.
It's true. It's true. And then, you started out as a drummer. That was always my primary instrument. And then you also played, with the school band. And then probably end of junior year, senior year, I started exploring, new instruments, bass, a little bit of acoustic guitar. So stepped off the drum kit, and then went to tried out doing more like a frontman position. Just needed members, small town. There's you kind of create the musicians you play with, or try to encourage them along.
Yeah.
I have something.
The rock scene is super huge in Quincy.
Yeah.
It's
Illinois. That is
taking it back to your original band Nocturnal.
Mm-hmm.
Is I just feel like I have to tell you this. I saw a Nocturnal shirt in the wild.
Oh yeah, probably
within the last couple of years.
I believe
at
it.
at a Walmart.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
It's just so hilarious to me when I see merch like from Nocturnal
it's
in the wild, and it's
from the band.
Yeah, it's been
Not just a random shirt that said Nocturnal.
that almost 20 years ago.
yeah.
From that.
Yep.
As you're getting ready to graduate high school, then what's the goal at that point?
Well, my goal was to just keep diving in and chasing after this music thing, even though I didn't know what that looked like, or there was there.
Yeah.
So
Did you ever have like I'm going to move to Nashville, or I'm going to move to Hollywood? Or?
No, and I think honestly, I think it was because I think it was partially where I grew up and why and how I grew up. So again, being from a extremely small town in on the Mississippi, Camp Point, Illinois, at the time it was 1,300 people. I think it still is actually. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we came from a very much do-it-yourself community. There's just no resources around where we lived. And so I've always told people, if you wanted the oil changed in your car, you did it. If you wanted to learn how, or if you wanted, demos or recordings of your band, well, you figured out how to do it. If you wanted to book a show, you booked it, you put it together, you promoted it, you got the other bands together. If you wanted something done, you did it yourself. You went after it. You worked for it, and you didn't make excuses. You figured out how to get it done. And so that was definitely kind of the mentality that I grew up with. And kind of through that, I also realized with the music industry, I realized early on kind of what the gatekeepers were. They don't exist as much anymore, especially with the power of the internet and whatnot. But during that, I also realized that I didn't want somebody else having the power to dictate whether or not I was going to do music for the rest of my life. And so, Nashville had kind of come up a few times, but it's such a saturated market, and it was never like a serious if I move to this town or that town or move out of here, that'll solve all my problems, and that's. It was there was never I never really clung to excuses, as to why something couldn't happen or couldn't be done. I always was brought up with the excuse of okay, here's a problem, what do we do? How do we fix it? How do we get around it? And so you're just kind of moving out of state or moving to another town wasn't really on my radar. It's okay, what do I need to figure out on my end to make things continue to move forward? So
because you'd pretty much play at that point, you're playing in Illinois,
most
regional,
regional yep. And I had progressed into a couple new projects by that point, and starting to play locally, regionally, trying to network, figure out who's who, in the area.
Yeah, all these things are separate stories we could create in a podcast.
Yes.
But, as far as you ended up getting to the military and the Air Force, talk to me a little bit about that. Was that a giving up on the dream? Was that a part of the master plan to continue music? What was
well? Looking back, yes, it was part of the master plan. Not necessarily my plan. I was in on the plan, but I didn't write out the plan. So being in the military was actually in my heart as well, even as a little kid. I remember, drawing pictures like, being in the Air Force and da 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 da. I was also brought up in scouting. Me and my two younger brothers. Dad was heavily involved with our scout troop. Growing up, and so definitely was brought up.
I need to take a pause there. His grandfather, his dad, and his two brothers and him are all Eagle Scouts.
Yes, this is true.
Wow, praise God for that.
So very, very, very thankful for that. Definitely laid a very patriotic foundation in my life, work ethic, kind of follow through, taught me how to follow through.
Are you an Eagle Scout?
A lot of things.
Ben?
What's that?
Are you an Eagle Scout?
No, I'm a Royal Ranger.
Sorry.
So even from an early age, I kind of had that, in me already. And so I'd always had it on my radar, like, hey, I'm going to join the Marines or or whatever, didn't really, know what I was getting into. And so it kind of came to a point, I had some good things going on with music, but also some not so good things happening at the same time. My now wife of 13 years, and I had just gotten married. So this would have been back in 2008. And we had just gotten married, and band stuff was kind of at just a very stagnant place. There was just a lot of band drama, tension stuff going on. But so Brittany and I had just gotten married. I didn't want to go back to school, college or anything. I did that. It just wasn't good. So, and I had kind of up to this point, I'd always had the military kind of in the back of my head, just again, that kind of that patriotic foundation that was built in my life. And so I started looking into it, and one thing led to the next, and next thing I know, I'm signed up for 6 years in the Air Force. And so, yes, at that time, I think I was definitely, I look back at it, and it's kind of the time where I tried to cut music out of my life. I walked away from music, out of just kind of frustration and discouragement, and just felt like I was kind of running through mud, not really getting anywhere. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start a new life, and I'm gonna join the military, be a new person, start a new life, and because music was all I had known up to that point. And so,
Big Ben moving to Carthage, Missouri. I'm gonna start a new life, a new beginning.
So
Carthage, Missouri, home of precious moments.
But looking back, hindsight always 20/20 and stuff, and so it's I think it's so wild, as a believer, when you look at, the Bible clearly says, the righteous, the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. So often we think that, the decisions that we're making, are actually being influenced by our shepherd, and stuff. And so it was it's definitely not something I could have planned, but going that direction actually in the end landed me closer to where I needed to be for music on the other side, So somebody on the outside looking in would say oh, well, that's the complete opposite direction of going full-time music, Why would you join the military? Well, that 6 years that I was in, God was using to equip me for what was going to be coming on the other side. And so that's definitely something only he could put together, because when you're so close, you're so close to your own life, it's hard to see the big picture of things and stuff. And so, and I can remember praying many times, especially as a teenager, it's like, God, be my shepherd, because if I'm in control of my own life, then I'm probably going to screw it up. So yeah, it's happened a few times, and pretty darn close anyway.
It allowed you to go to school too.
Yep.
I remember that.
Yep, and that was kind of unintentional, but yes, was able to do quite a bit of schooling while I was in. A lot of schooling, rather.
For music production.
Yep, for audio production. Music production. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Audio production.
Yes.
My bad.
Yep. We can talk about that, or
we should clarify that you brought up some good spiritual points. We're modern Christian dudes. You're a follower of Jesus, I presume.
Correct.
I know that, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes.
Talk to me about a little bit what are the struggles of being a Christian and music industry, being a rock star, being in a Christian band. Talk to me about some of the struggles that you've, and your dad too, modern Christian. We used to be the modern Christian dads. We're modern Christian dudes, but talk to me about those struggles that you've had as a Christian musician.
Just kind of in the music industry as a whole.
Yep. In general, as life, as a dad, those kind of things you've had to walk through.
Wow. I could go multiple different directions with this. I mean,
brother-in-law, drama, issues.
So here's something that's really kind of close to my heart. And it's a more of a,
or I could rephrase
frustration.
it. Lessons learned at this point. Some of the spiritual lessons you've learned as a modern Christian dude.
Oh, gosh.
In the life that you've lived.
Okay. If God has spoken something to you, you don't need anybody else's approval. If God has imprinted something on your heart, and you'll know, because when God speaks to your spirit, it resonates to your entire being. And so that is what you have to focus on. That's what you have to set your sights on. And whether it be your parents or your siblings or friends, close friends, or anybody else given. Now, that's not to say don't seek out godly counsel and wisdom, right? But at the end of the day,
you should have a pastor. You should have a mentor.
And just a quick example is I was always throughout my journey, I've kind of always been looking for a music mentor, a big brother to look up to, and I never really came to that. I never really found that, and it always kind of bothered me, frustrated me that am I just being prideful? Am I not being submissive to leaders that have been put in my life? I was really kind of upset about this. I had reached out to a couple people, specifically in the Nashville scene, and I was praying about it. I was laying in my bed, and all of a sudden God spoke to my spirit and said, Isaac, I spoke to you. Emphasis being on, I spoke to you, Isaac. And it clicked. It was like, okay, my affirmation comes from God. My assurance, my reassurance comes from God, and we hear that so often, especially in the church, Holy Spirit is our comforter, it kind of becomes cliche. I was like, yeah, that's right. That vision that God has given me came from Him. He's the one who has deposited this into my spirit. He is the one who has given me the desires of my heart. And we talk. You hear that scripture used kind of I believe in an incorrect way. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Right?
Yes.
I think often the emphasis gets put on give. Right? Delight yourself in the Lord, and He's going to be your magic genie.
Yeah.
Let's relook at that. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. And meaning that when you allow your heart to be, when you allow yourself to be postured in a place where your heart can be aligned with God, He's going to be the one who deposits those desires into your heart. And desire is really almost confirmation from God that you will be and can be successful in that area. And so, that was definitely a defining moment for me. Okay, I need to just stop looking to man, God's going to be my teacher.
Say that whole point again, the point that you learned from the outset of what we just got in this. You can't hear from God. How did you say that just a couple minutes ago? You need to learn. We talked about lessons learned. Up at this point in life,
yeah. If
you said it perfect.
Oh shoot, rewind.
Yeah.
I think probably
hearing from God yourself, or how did you say that?
Right. When God deposits something into your heart, it resonates. It shakes your own being, and you don't need. Basically,
here's what I'm getting at. To interrupt you, I apologize.
Sure.
Is I talk to people. The point you hit home. I think we'll just linger on this, and then we'll close the episode. Is that I talk to a lot of people that are always like, oh, what's God calling me to do? How do I know my calling? And that's something you have to get on your own.
Right.
I don't know how else to say it.
Right.
It's like, how do I know if and a shout out, I'll even throw his name out there if he's listening, Harrison, and it's not to throw him, but just I've tons of people, Big Ben, etc. How do I know God's called me? As if I'm going to give you the answer.
Right.
And the only thing that I can see biblically is that when God gives it to you personally, and when you get it, then there's no struggle with that. Then you know that you know that you know. It's kind of like people like, how did you know you were called to be a pastor? I don't know. All I know is in the fall of 1996, in the balcony of North Central University, I heard the voice of God for the first time, and I knew what he called me to be and what he called me to do. And I've never struggled that with this sin then. Now, have I struggled like, God, do you want me to go here or there?
Sure.
I've, been in a few places. Is it time to go or time to stay? But I've never, ever, ever once struggled with who am I called to be or what am I called to do?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think you worded that beautifully. And for whatever reason, we're always looking for like that outside encouragement, or which is good, but it's almost like we're looking for man's approval.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is what God told me and, deposited in my spirit, like, Ben, is this okay with you? Like, it's like, I don't know why we get caught up, well, it's just like we're just so fearful of man, but when God speaks to you, like, man, that's the only voice you need confirmation from. And
we want it in we want to open up the YouVersion Bible app and how to discover your calling and click on it and get it there, or watch Stephen Furtick's latest video, etc. Shout out to you, Stephen Furtick, or whoever it might be.
I'll say this too. I think that Isaac, because I've had the perspective of from when you were 13, I think is when we started our long relationship, and I was probably 10 at the time, but I got to see the perspective of all the naysayers of Isaac's life and all the challenges that he's had, and he's constantly pursued that calling. Regardless of what the world has told him who he is or who he's supposed to be, he's always relentlessly pursued music, always. And I think it's interesting too, because we grew up in the same church.
This is all going back to Space Jam 2.
No.
Yes.
No. LeBron telling his son, Dad, just let me be me.
Exactly.
Just let me be me.
Exactly. This is Space Jam.
This is
one
powerful
and a half.
spiritual stuff, right?
But
sorry.
But what I'm getting at is something I've learned from Isaac is the genre of music that he specifically plays. I would consider it metal. That might not necessarily be the correct term. Rock and roll, screamo music, right? From a worldly perspective and an ultra religious perspective, I feel like screamo and metal is not seen as of God. Right.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's
in general. Yeah.
Right. No, in general, I think that people hear, "Ooh, that's Satan music." He's screaming, but it's an interesting perspective to have. It's what's in your heart, right? And you're making a joyful noise unto the Lord. If you want to put some perspective on. If you want to go in deep on screaming and screamo music, it's just a joyful noise.
Yeah, loud clanging cymbals.
No, I think there's tons of modern Christian dudes all over the world. Anyone that stumbles across this, hope that's what you're listening to, and that's a struggle. Is like being you, being what you. I mean, what good is it to live the one life that you have to live, not being you? There's.
Well, I can even kind of speak back to, kids growing up in youth, right? It's like anything that you're passionate about or good about, is supposedly sinful.
Right.
Right. It's like, well, if you enjoy it, that needs to be submitted and surrendered to God. Like, okay, I understand, but maybe we should put a little bit more care and emphasis on like developing those God-given gifts, and framing those in a healthy perspective. And teaching our kids, how to have healthy relationships, how to have healthy time management around the things that they're passionate about. I heard a preacher say just a couple of weeks ago, he was giving a sermon and talking about, his kids. And he said the phrase, that we really need to be in a place where we're able to unfold our children rather than mold our children. I thought, oh, that's really cool. That's because
deep, bro.
Yeah, well, but I mean, the mindset,
point, though.
the mindset is that oh, we got to do all these things to make sure our kids turn out great, and turn out right, and it's like, well, what they're created to be is already there. We just need to give them an opportunity for that to unfold.
I think often. me being a creative as well as an artist, like I feel like the world isn't necessarily set up for the creative.
No,
and it's very much pushed that you need to be within this mold. You need to be an analytical accountant, and that's just not who creatives are. It's that parable
okay
or
if
whatever.
you're an accountant.
No, right. No, if that's who you are, that's amazing, But it's like you tell an elephant and a monkey to climb a tree, the elephant's gonna have a hard time climbing the tree because it's not what it's created or made to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think too often we're crammed into a mold.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's end on this. Tell me, great stuff, Isaac Smith, bass, string, rhythmic person for chaotic resemblance. You awesome man, you. Tell me what here's what I like to phrase it, what do you find right now up to this moment your life anthem being? The one thing that you wake up every day and this is my anthem that I live in life. I'll give you mine. Maybe that'll give you a frame of reference. So my life anthem is chasing obedience. That's my life anthem. I can't control my success. So I'm a pastor of a church. So I can't necessarily control how big or small it's going to be, or, I can't always determine those things. But the one thing I feel like I can not control, but I can submit to is obeying I can chase obedience to what God wants me to be and do. And if I do that, then I could die today. I could die tomorrow being like, you know what, God, I chased what I felt you spoke to me about, and I'm comfortable with that. Yeah. And that happens on the little, and that happens on the big things. That happens as something as simple as last night when I'm talking. In my brain, I'm like, dude, there's this guy named Dusty that works at Papa John's that I've been that got saved at CWF, and I'm just gonna go buy pizza right now. Number one, because I did want pizza. Number two, he was working at Papa John's. Nice. And this is a story I just telling people today. I got there. Hey, Dusty, how's it going, man? Like, good to see you, bro. Like, what's going on? And he told me the story, and this made me feel good about myself. But like, he was like, hey, I was on Facebook the other day, and it was like, he doesn't go to church on a regular basis. He was like, I think it was like I don't know if it was a service or what you were doing, but you were on the screen, and I was watching it, and he's like, dude, you were talking about how your church prays for people and that you believe in prayer, and you started praying for people. And he's like, it was so powerful. He's like, and I was just mesmerized by that. And I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's cool. Like, I was so glued to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I forget people even watch our live stream. First of all. Second of all, that there was this really guy who's struggling to really walk with God, who I know because he prayed the prayer of salvation, wants Jesus really bad in his life. He's probably not flushing it out to the best of his ability right now, or is this great disciple or follower of Christ, but yet was like, whoa, captured by, so it's just chasing obedience. Like, do what God's called you to do. Mm-hmm. Follow, I follow your urges. If they're the Holy Spirit, God urges, follow those, not your sinful ones, but the God urges, like, hey, I feel like God wants me to do this, and do that. It's like, yeah. And, sometimes they're crazy. Sometimes they're stupid. To other people, they're going to be like, oh, that's really dumb. Well, I'm chasing obedience to God.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Sorry,
yeah,
that's my life answer.
So I've definitely have had different seasons throughout my very short life. However, at the beginning of this year, the Holy Spirit specifically spoke to me that the theme for my life and my family for this year, at least, is wholeness. So currently, right now, and this is definitely something that I've struggled with is taking the time and putting in a priority on rest and recovery, because my personality type and just the type of person that I am is that I'll just go, I'll work, and then to just completely burn out, and that's not healthy, and so one of my prayers, as of late, and this first half of the year has been, God, when it's time to work, help me to work hard. God, when it's time to play, help me to play hard. God, when it's time to rest, help me to rest hard. And so, yeah, definitely, wholeness has been the theme for at least this year, which is very different than what it has been in the past. But you almost, I know probably other people can relate to this, but you almost feel guilty for stopping and relaxing and just chilling out, for a little bit. I know I have, I just, and so, overall it's just been a season of just kind of, purging, decluttering, just downsizing. The anthem has been wholeness, for 2021 anyway.
I mean, Big Ben goes back to Space Jam 2 again. LeBron was like, I'm just so consumed with basketball, I forgot about you, son, and how important. Right? I mean,
there you go.
Is this not really?
This
This is all swinging, circling back around to Space Jam 2 this episode.
Space Jam 3 right now happening.
Just kidding.
In production.
Hey, this is a much longer episode than we normally have, but we don't often have rock stars on our podcast. Big Ben, a.k.a. King Ranch.
I am a rock star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Party like a rock star. And we are going to be partying like rock stars this weekend because we have a conference called No Price Tag Conference.
Yep.
If you happen to be listening to this, it is a conference for teens, PurityNoPriceTagConference.com. We're going to put a bunch of stuff online. You can check that out and check out Chaotic Resemblance. Tell us where they can check that out, the social websites, etc.
Yep. All the socials, all the digital media platforms, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube.
Google it, Instagram.
Yep. All
Just
all
Chaotic
the above.
Resemblance.
Yep. 2 words.
You guys recently had a very successful song this last year. Unto the Lamb.
Yes. That went very well.
Yeah,
yes.
It was extremely popular.
Yeah.
So #1 on
For
Christian rock for a couple weeks.
Yep.
So check them out.
That's why he's a rock star. Ladies and gentlemen, modern Christian dudes, Isaac Smith, Chaotic Resemblance. We'll talk to you guys next time.